Hi everyone, welcome to today's vlog on health and wellness. So today's topic is overthinking. Overthinking is simply, thinking too much. So as the first part of the words is over. Anything over is not good. Be it overeating, be it oversleeping. Anything over is not good. Okay. So there is something you got to think how much is required, because understand one thing: too much thinking doesn't help. Right. At the end of the day, you don't control everything, so too much of thinking doesn't help. So many people kind of plan for every possible scenario. Okay, let's say tomorrow you're gonna go for, let's say, a trip, and he takes all the precautions, everything he wants to take care of, right? But then you need to understand one thing, that you cannot control everything. Of course, you have to still plan. That is important. Planning is really important, because if you don't plan, again, that's a problem. But then too much of planning, too much of thinking, excessive planning, excessive thinking about the same thing will create a lot of issues. So the beauty is finding the real, that sweet spot, where you know that, okay, I have to plan this much or think that much, and not beyond that. So this might not come easily to everyone. It might come real difficult. Some people usually have a habit to overthink, especially because some certain people are kind of control freak, right? They want to control every situation, every scenario, right? And they kind of think about everything, all the worst possible scenarios, right? And they think that, okay, if I think and plan about it, maybe those things can be avoided. But trust me, everything can't be avoided, but still planning is important. So overthinking is probably going into that infinite loop in terms of programming. If you go into that infinite loop from which you can't, just can't come out, right? Because your brain just stick to that point where that particular thought, and then you don't know how to come out of that thought, right? So I understand that can happen to sometimes, but then the important thing is realizing that this is happening to you. You realize that this thing has, you kind of, because if you're overthinking, then mostly there's a possibility that you are overthinking on many things, right? So if your friends are telling you that you're overthinking on this, so maybe then you should stop doing overthinking, right? It's easier said than done, I know. But in the blog, today's vlog, I'll discuss with my wife, and subsequently also how you can, kind of control overthinking, or at least get rid of this kind of habits of overthinking. So stay tuned. Hi Devrati, how's your
Hi,
week?
hi, I'm fine.
So welcome to our today's episode.
Okay.
So today's vlog is more about overthinking. Yes, I
Mm.
mean, I know it probably many people, you would have heard it a lot from many people, but it's very common, I think. But
Yes, yes.
what is the most recent, experience you had with overthinking,
Most recent,
or maybe
actually,
in the past you can
actually
say?
nowadays I'm not thinking like this way.
Okay,
So
that's
I,
good.
so if I feel, if I stay alone, that time which I was feeling this thing more
Overthinking.
overthinking. So nowadays I'm not feeling, as my
Mm.
husband is there along
Okay,
with me.
that's
Okay.
great. So,
If I have to give one example, so during PhD, everything is was happened during my PhD only.
okay.
So suppose sometime I used to thought I resigned my job. After that I enrolled as a PhD, and and during my PhD, lots of issues were there, and I found sometimes it was that time was there. So when I did not get any results, because for PhD you have to get in some kind of the results for
Right,
writing
right.
the research paper. So I did not get it. So I was thinking like that, how I will get result, and how, and it is that when I designed job, this thing
Everything, I
I
mean, these all related
did
things
everything.
comes.
I think. But sometimes I whatever think is happening, it's natural. Okay, we
Right,
cannot change our life, and we cannot change anything.
right.
So better overthinking, we can proceed with some solution, and better overthinking, we can proceed. How we can solve this thing, whatever things are going on in my
Right.
life, how we can solve this. I after sometimes I
Right.
realize.
So I think what you said right now makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, overthinking is probably a problem. Why
Mm.
I say problem means, you are, of course, because you're thinking about a problem, right? You're overthinking on a problem. So many times is what happens to us, right? We think about all the possible scenarios, or let's say worst case scenarios. So, but which all encircles around a problem, right? So we have to change our thought process to more solution oriented. Because let's say something mishap happened, let's say in your family or somewhere else, in your friends, now that has happened. If you keep on thinking about that, or related worst possible cases scenarios, then it will never end. Because I understood one thing in life: I cannot control everything, right? So whatever has to happen will happen. But now, rather than focusing on all the problems, we can train our mind to be more solution oriented. Okay, if this has happened now, what I have to do? How can I solve these problems, right? So rather next time whenever that problem comes up also, your mind should not focus again on the problem.
Logically, you have to think.
Logically, so how we can solve the issue, right? So if your mind is more solution oriented, you know that you have to stop, right? Because I mean, solution oriented comes only when the problem arises. So rather than thinking of all the problems, if you train your mind to be solution oriented, you will have that inner confidence or inner trust that next time also problem comes, I'll be able to solve it, because your mind has only become solution oriented, not problem oriented. Now one more thing I would like to also add. Now I'm discussing about overthinking more from a normal people point of view, not from people who are into depression or who have a high PP or high sugar, that kind of. These people are prone to overthinking because of their physical ailments. So I am talking about normal people who these days, young people like you and me who are in their mid 30s or early late 20s, so they are overthinking. Now many a times entrepreneurs also suffer from this, right? I mean they kind of overthink all those situations, or scientists do overthinking. Now at times little bit of overthinking is okay when it comes naturally, when if you have like a long day of working on a problem, or let's say research problem for 15 hours, you want to say you're going to sleep, this not coming to you is not unnatural. It's going to come to you because this is what is going on in your brain.
And total entire 24 days something is happening with you that
Mostly it will come.
naturally it will
So now you have to do something unnatural then, right? You have to stop that because your brain will needs also rest like everything else, right? So it has to stop thinking about that. So maybe when you come back to home at, let's say, even at night 9 or p.m. or so, don't look back to the laptop or don't think about it. So maybe you listen to some music, talk to your friends, but you have to actively, let's say you do meditation, you have to actively do things such that those thought process doesn't come again and again to you, right? Right? Overthinking is always not
rather focusing on that, so that problems, you have to focus on the other thing which
other
makes
things
you
in life,
happy,
right? Because you understand the problem with overthinking is also manifold. At times you are so much concentrated on one problem that you are not focusing on everything else, and which end up other things also becoming a problem because you never got enough thought process energy to the other things which is happening to your life, right? So you have to have a balance. You have to find that sweet spot where of course you have to think, otherwise you become stupid. So you have to think about everything, but up to a limit, and then you think, okay, rest, leave to God. He also has a plan. You have a plan, God also have another plan. So the real work happens when your plan and universe plans together, right? So we might not realize, you think everything is happening because of us. No, because you have a plan, universe also has a plan for you. So everything happens in combination. So trust that the other plan which universe has gonna work for you, right? So rather than always thinking too much about one subject, you should know how to get out of the thought process also. That's an art, not always science, right? You know that, okay, I don't have to think much about it, that's it, I'm gonna think. And okay, there are few good possibilities you can do. As I say, maybe go for a walk, trust yourself more, right? If you think too much, then there is also possibility that trust in your decisions, and when you think, okay, everything, if I am able to do it or not, trust yourself. You have all the capabilities to do it, right? And maybe go out for a walk, take a brisk walk, relax your mind, because many times what happens when people do overthinking, they just can't simply relax. Relaxation is a big issue. The mind can't relax. So find ways how to relax, because this can become a habit for long. Initially few years you can enjoy, but once a little old, right, this issue will be there, what you are overthinking. Rest other things are also coming to your life. You will not able to know how to manage it, right? Because you're so much used to a one thought process and you don't know how to handle everything else, right? That's going to happen. Too much loading.
Whatever things are there, like other things, you have to solve other problem also. But
yes,
if you're focusing on a particular problem, so you can skip away from these things.
So other things will become bigger problem for you, right? So in life, you have to know how to make balance. Have to have a lot of fun. In the weekends, you should not work too much. Maybe have some relax. Stay away from everything you are doing and enjoy the nature. Go for a walk. Maybe go for a small party or something. Yes. However you feel relaxed. Do meditation in the morning.
Depends on
the way. But yeah, at the end of the day, everything is over. So yeah, I'm going to discuss it further in the final conclusion. But yeah, thank you for your time. Yeah, it was nice discussing with you. Hi everyone. So you heard from my wife, about what we talked about overthinking. So understand that overthinking is again different from problem solving. Sometimes we think more about a problem rather than more becoming more solution focused. So if you are focusing just on the problem, it doesn't help you. It will lead to more negative thoughts, right? And if it is chronic, you go on and on that thought process for really maybe long hours, then everything else also gets screwed up for you. Let's say you're working for 10 to 12 hours in a day, and then you come back from the office and then you think about that same problem for another 7 8 hours. Now what will happen is your the problem that problem will let to have more problems in other areas as well, right? Because you're not focusing on everything else happening to your life. Let's say you're not focusing on your health, right? And you'll eventually have more health issues. So you'll have chronic ailments, right, because of not focusing on your health. So of course, so now the most important part here is you should know when to switch on and switch off. Switching off at the right time is very important, right? So let's say come out of the job after 9 or 10 hours working, and then you have to switch off at that very moment and come back to home, relax, enjoy with your friends, and that will help you actually next day even better, because you have a fresh mind, you'll have a fresh thoughts, right? So that helps in multiple ways. Rather than thinking on the same thing for long hours, you'll not be able to get out of it, and you'll not have a fresh mind to solve the same problem again for the next day. So you should know how to relax, when to stop thinking. Those things are important. You have to actively practice, because or if you have problems, maybe talk to your friends and family, because if you do overthinking always, it might be okay for a few years, and then eventually, when you, let's say, mid 30s or so, you have a lot of other things, more responsibilities comes up in your life, and you just know how to deal with one issue. You don't know then how to deal with life, right? Because issues will come up coming as more responsibilities come in your life. So you should know how to deal with everything, and of course you have to enjoy life as well. So overthinking can be a bigger problem in life if you don't know how to deal with it, but dealing with it could be easier if you know how to maybe you go for a small work, switch, as I said, switching off. So listening to music, a good time with friends, enjoy the weekends, completely shut down from work maybe for a day or two, and then next day you come with fresh mind and fresh ideas. That's even more effective. So I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. We'll see each other in next week again, but let me know in the comments what your thought process. You can have let me know more topics which you can talk about, but till then, have a nice time. Yeah, thank you.